We all know that an efficient and well-managed transportation infrastructure is critical to our state's economic future. So we were so pleased that Secretary Davey could join us this morning, and please join me in welcoming him to AIM.
Thank you, Rick, and I appreciate AIM's leadership in continuing to push both us in transportation and the administration to improve the business climate here in the Commonwealth. I have to apologize in advance if you see anyone coming in superhero capes or masks. They're with me, so they'll sit at the chairman's table. Just let them have breakfast, okay? Well, on behalf of Governor Patrick and Lieutenant Governor Murray, thank you for having me this morning to talk about transportation. I will talk a little bit about what we're doing at the DOT generally and spend a little time on the MBTA, and then I'll be happy to take all of your easy questions, particularly how many vendors here for the DOT or the T? Okay, you are required to laugh at my jokes as usual and to ask the softball questions. Well, obviously over the last few months, we really have catapulted, in my opinion, transportation from somewhere in the top 10 or maybe lower of public policy issues here in the Commonwealth to, I think, one of the top issues that we're talking about today. We've done that for a few reasons. First of all, obviously, the fiscal challenge of the MBTA is daunting. It is annual, and for the first time in 12 years, this administration has rejected the usual way the T balanced its budget, which was through one-time gimmicks and, frankly, imprudent financing of debt. But at the same time, that is symptomatic of what is going on in the Commonwealth. There are challenges in our highway program. There are challenges with our regional transit authorities, our road and bridge program. Folks, the current system we have today is one we cannot afford, and I think the system that we all wish to have is one we certainly can't afford. And that is the conversation that has begun with the MBTA leading. What we're doing at the DOT to facilitate that conversation is really four things. First, talking about what reform means. What have we been doing with the reform that the legislature put into place 2.5, 3 years ago? Two is making reform more touchable and feelable to the average customer, you, a driver on our road or user of public transportation. And three, transparency. Has anyone heard of the Big Dig? Most of you? No? Nobody? Wow. All right, great. I won't even talk about that. For some reason, the Big Dig, I think, and other reasons, transportation has been dogged with this idea that we are not transparent, and we are trying to flip that on its head. And finally, we are working hard to manage the DOT and the T more like a business, and I'll get into all four of these as we move forward. First, articulating what reform means, and I would be remiss without talking about reform, without acknowledging and thanking Jeff Mullen, my mentor and my predecessor who's in the room. Jeff, where are you? You snuck in? You snuck out? There you are, over the corner. I was sitting with Graham Shaljan, too. If you need any bad stories about me from high school, Graham is your guy. But back to Jeff. The reason why I think we begin to have this conversation in the Commonwealth is because reform has saved money. It has improved what we're doing. And thanks to his leadership and the governor's leadership and others, the DOT was born now 2.5 years ago. What are we doing with reform? Remember, we have moved, or we're moving, all of our employees into the GIC, the State's Insurance Commission, which allows us to save approximately $35 million annually. The so-called 23 and out. Now, when Jeff asked me to become general manager of the T, I actually thought it was 23 days and out. After I signed the letter, then he told me it was not. But 23 years and out is gone. This idea that the very generous pension system the T once had is gone. Now, I think we can make some improvements upon that, but it is over. We have been able to keep our head count down at the MBTA. It is among the lowest annually in 15 or 20 years. And, folks, we are running more service than ever before with a lower head count. We've been able to move more of our customers at the RMV online. We are now providing 19 transactions and getting folks out of the bricks and mortars and doing online transactions so we can reduce our head count and our overhead costs at the RMV. We've done, again, many pieces of financial savings. And is this on the record, by the way? Is there any press here? I should have asked that before. And I forgot I was going to get to ask that. We will be implementing electronic tolling by the end of this year, which means what? Which means we will begin slowly and surely to eliminate toll collectors throughout our system, starting with the Tobin Bridge. But thanks to the governor's historic accelerated bridge program with the legislature, we are implementing FAST programs. So whether it was the FAST 14 this past summer, our heavy lift program, We'll be doing a bridge over a weekend, 2 weekends from now on River Street, a highway bridge that goes over a commuter rail section. These are the things the new DOT is doing, taking risks, being more creative, finding out what we can be doing to lead the country, and again, not only improving what the customer sees, but reducing our costs. So that's the first piece. That's what reform has meant. All these bureaucracies that typically fought, didn't talk to each other, general managers and secretaries and registry of motor vehicle and turnpike heads, all were fighting. They are now under one umbrella, under the DOT, and that is because we are focused, again, on you, our customer, and improving your experience. 2, all right, so what? The question, so what? We've reformed, we've saved some money. Big deal. The average customer, I think you should be saying, you should have done that all along. You should have been finding ways to save money. You shouldn't have the bureaucrats not working together to improve the experience. So what else in reform? We're looking to capitalize on that and move reform forward, and what we've been calling making it more touchable, feelable to the average customer. So whether it's the VMS boards that are on our highway system that right now say things like click it or ticket or have a nice day, useless information, folks. It should say 2 hours to Boston, pull over, have a cup of coffee, turn around, or 20 minutes to Boston, giving you useful information on your commute. We'll be launching that later this spring. We implemented for the first time ever, just a few weeks ago, a countdown board on the highway, which gives you a countdown to a commuter rail train at Anderson-Woburn Station. So if you're stuck in traffic and the sign says next train to Boston, 10 minutes, 5 minutes, you're more likely to pull off, park, and get on a train into downtown Boston. Integrating our transportation network so it, again, it improves your experience as a customer.